There's so many containers and how people are using it for stores, for homes. Well, here in studio, there are two people who are actually doing that. They take these containers and they turn them into beautiful homes. So they're closer to me. I have Grace Atieno Odhiambo. She is an interior designer. And on my far end, Kelvin Chaleng. He is a senior architect and one of the directors for Director Containers Kenya. It's so good to have you guys here. You're doing something that is so being done in South Africa and you're doing it here in Kenya. But to be specific, you guys take these containers, and I'll start with Kelvin. You take these containers and you turn them into homes?
Basically, containers are very malleable in the loose sense of the word.
Right.
They're very strong structures. They're made of steel. And the fact that they've probably stayed in the ocean for quite some time, that means, you know, they can withstand the elements, so to speak. Now, container housing is not a very new concept.
It's not?
It's not. It's been around for quite some time elsewhere, but in these shores, maybe it's probably a bit new.
It's relatively new here.
Yeah, but we've done this for the more than 5 years, 5 to 6 years, I can say. So basically what we do with containers, we try to convert them into livable space.
Okay.
You know, it's a new concept. It's a very exciting concept, I can say. We basically offering alternatives into, of housing. Traditionally, we are very rigid society, I can say. It's not just a Kenyan problem, it's an African problem, I can say that. And everywhere, guys are afraid of change. But we're trying to tell people, containers, we can use containers for more than transportation of goods and you know, importation and stuff like that.
So take me through this,
yeah.
Okay? Step by step, you get a container. What do you do with it then? So how do you go about, just take me through it. It's a very interesting.
So with containers, it's true, it's very interesting and very exciting as well. we have so much fun doing that ourselves.
Right.
So the first step, of course, is the design. One, we need the customer. We need to know what the customer needs. We do offices, we do shops, stalls. I'm sure you've seen them by the roadsides.
Yes.
We do houses, we do classrooms, we do storage units. You know, you can do with ablation units. You can convert a container into pretty much anything you want.
Okay.
You know, so the first step is the client comes to us. They tell us what they want, right? Maybe you want a house, a 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house, 1-bedroom house, depending on one, your budget and the size of land you have. Now you see to the interior, the design team. Grace is one of his head of the design team. So you go through the process of designing. This is how I want my house to look. This is how big I want my rooms to be. So once you have that, that's the the most basic, step. That's where you start the design, like with any other house, you know. Then you come. Now we have a team of engineers as well. They help us with the structural, the construction and stuff like that.
Right. And we'll come to the details of the structure, but let me rope in Grace here. So here it is, you have a container. How different is it designing being an interior designer? How is it different designing an interior from your traditional normal house or space?
Okay, so for containers, you're restricted to an 8-foot width. Normally you have a 20-foot and a 40-foot. 20-foot is 20-foot by 8, 40-foot is 40-foot by 8. So you're restricted to the 8-foot width. Somehow you need to make that work, unless you're joining 2 containers. But even if you're joining 2 containers, you can't cut so much. You will be messing with the structure of the container if you're cutting so much. So having specialized in the tiny spaces area, in terms of interior design, you get that with a perfect design, and also if you include convertible furniture for tiny spaces, you can actually make it work. But now the challenge we have with containers is you need someone who has interest and expertise in designing a container home or a container space. Because normally you get an interior designer is able to design, but can't work around the 8 feet width. So it comes along with a lot of challenges, like you'll get a normal bed. The most challenge is in the bedroom. You'll get a normal bed is about 6 feet, and you just have 8 feet. So once you fit a bed, you have less than 1.5 feet to use as a circulation path. So you have to design around that. That is a conversation we have with our customers, we have with our clients, and the rest of our design team. on how to go about it. It's a challenge, yes, but we are figuring a way to go about it. Yes.
All right. So, Kelvin, before I know you want to jump into this, but we're going to take a quick commercial break so that way we allow our viewers to also send in their questions and comments. Let's do that. Let's take a break there. Probably if you're watching at home, tweet us your questions that you have for Kelvin and Grace. They are in a very unique space where they're changing containers into homes. Tweet us at KTN News, at Zinzi.